it really is the development of calm and attention, of calm and mindfulness. And the mindfulness, what the mindfulness does is it allows us to see what we're actually doing. What we're actually doing. And a lot of times what we're actually doing is we're caught up in thought, right? But we develop the calm. We develop the calm to give the mind the strength so that it's not pulled away as much. But we need to apply mindfulness to that calm as well. There's meditators that and styles of meditation where they don't put as much focus on the development of calm. But without the development of calm, the mind doesn't really develop the capacity or the strength to come to that point of clarity. If we're just mindful, that's good. But mindfulness, the mind is so tricky that we easily get lost in thought. So we need a stable seat, and we develop the calm to develop that stable seat. But at some point, we need to apply the mindfulness so we actually see what's taking place, and we're actually able to catch what we're doing. We're actually able to catch when we're caught up in thought, when we're caught up in an emotional reaction. We're actually able to catch it. So the two, the mindfulness and the calm, they go hand in hand. The calm alone doesn't lead to insight. The calm alone doesn't lead to any type of real understanding. It's just kind of blissful and fun to hang out in. But what we're developing here is the capacity to wake up to our conditioning, is the capacity to wake up and see where we're stuck, is the capacity to see how our conditioning creates our reality. How whatever we view, whatever we experience is through the lens of our our habitual patterns, through our conditioning. And the idea is to have the quality of mindfulness, that quality of clarity, so we can see the conditioning in operation. So we can see it clearly. And when we see it clearly, that's the beginning of wisdom. We see this is a thought pattern, this is conditioning. So we see what the mind is doing, we see how it's a habitual pattern, and we see how it controls us. It creates walls between us and the world around us. We're stuck in our reality. The reality of our own making. We don't really see what's around us. we see our conditioned response to what's around us. We don't really see what's taking place. We see our conditioned response to what's taking place. We don't really see ourselves. We see our conditioned response to ourselves. I'm this, I'm that. You're this, you're that. But we don't see ourselves and we don't see each other. We see the reflections on the water of the light of awareness as it moves through the trappings of conditioning. And through the development of mindfulness and calm, we develop the ability to start to see that, to have that clarity. So we develop that practice. Mindfulness is really, really important. That to know what the mind is doing in the moment. But it's not something we beat ourselves up with if we lose mindfulness. It's a tool. It's a tool that we use to observe where we're caught, where we're stuck. And in those moments of clarity, when there's the proper balance between the calm and the mindfulness, there is a quality of attention, a quality of clarity that's effortless. It's just there. It's just there. The meditations that we do, that we do with the breath and with sensation, develops that aspect, those aspects of attention and calm that allows the mind to open up to that clarity. And that clarity is that which is seen without being caught in anything. It's just seeing it. So that's what we're doing. It's really important with this too, within the formal meditation, but also within our daily practice, our daily life, it's really important to have a lot of patience with this. Is to have a lot of patience with it. Just like in the formal meditation practice where you go through those periods up and down, it's the same in our life. But if we continually, to the best of our ability, apply mindfulness to what's actually taking place, then that clarity starts to spontaneously be present. You know that feeling. You know that feeling when you are sitting, when you've been sitting, or you've been just applying the principles of these practices, and at some point, you just find yourself moving through the day or moving through a part of your day where it's suddenly everything's really uncomplicated. You're just simply present. You're just simply present. And you're seeing things for what they are. So through the development of attention and mindfulness, we develop the capacity, we develop the energetic conditions to bring ourselves to that place. And then at some point, it's effortless, isn't it? That place, we don't tend to stay in that place because our mindfulness slips up and we get caught in something. We get caught in thought. We get caught in reaction. That's where the patience comes in. It's like, oh, okay. And we just go back to it. We just go back to it. So mindfulness is the key, that quality of a continuum of attention that we bring again and again and again. But without the calm, without the development of calm, it's really difficult to maintain that for any period of time for most of us. The other thing we do, if we find ourselves just drifting off into that quiet blissfulness or sleepiness, is we increase our attention to sensation. If we're doing the meditation on sensation, we increase the noticing. We increase the noticing. If this is the beginning of the in-breath and this is the end of the in-breath, how many points of sensation are between these 2 points? Are you just kind of vaguely aware of this and vaguely aware of that? Or are you there for the whole ride? Are you there on the way down, the exhalation? Are you there for the whole ride? So we increase the noticing of sensation. At the same time, there's a comprehension, there's a mindfulness of the entirety of that experience. When we develop that, the other part that we do is we open up to the entirety of the body. We develop the ability to open up that attention with each breath of the movement of energy throughout the entirety of the body. They have to be very attentive to stay with that. And when we connect with that, we continue to increase the noticing of the sensations of the entirety of that experience. And if you start to get too sleepy, you start to get too blissful, open up your eyes and maybe come down to one point or a smaller area. But know when you're getting to that place where you're starting to space out. It's like, I see people meditate and some point you see them kind of like this. It's just kind of like that. And you know where that is. You know where that is. That's why posture is important, because posture is an expression of the quality of mind that's relaxed, but very attentive. Like you don't see statue of the Buddha kind of like this, or you don't see statues of the Buddha kind of like that, or the other one's like this. You don't see that. That the Buddha rupas, the Buddha statues, the way they're made is for a purpose. It's expressing that. It's expressing that. The posture says a lot. So check in with your posture. Open your eyes, check in with your posture. As if you're just like this, or you're like this, then you're not very mindful. You may be very calm, but you're not very mindful. You know that one your head's dropping and you're falling asleep and you're trying to stay awake. So when we're in that place, right? When we're in that place, we just apply mindfulness. We don't just go off into the dreamland. We're aware that that's how we are in that moment, but we're patient with it, and we just continue with our mindfulness and see what happens with that. See if that doesn't change. So think about that when you're sitting. Think about those two aspects, mindfulness and calm. That's the in the Vipassana teaching. There's lots of teachings. There's lots of strategies and approaches, and the Vipassana approach is very much that combination of the development of attention and mindfulness alongside the development of concentration. There are approaches where you just work with the concentration, but you still, even when you're working with the jhana practices or deep concentrative states, you still have to have a certain degree of mindfulness there. But in deep concentration, you're not aware of anything. You're just aware of the object of focus. And at some point, you're not aware of anything, perhaps, or very, very little. In the Vipassana approach, the insight approach, which is more what I'm teaching here, is you're developing the two together. That's the Thai forest approach too, is you're developing the two alongside each other, and one is just as important as the other. But when we first sit and the mind is busy, then we might put a little more attention on the calm. But once we've developed calm, once we're feeling that calm, we need to wake it up, right? We need to wake the calm up. That should always be something that you're aware of in your practice. The end of your meditation. Was I just drifting off, spacing out, or was I present? We're watching. We're watching what's taking place alongside the development of calm. And it's the combination of those two that allow us to clearly see our conditioning, to clearly see what's taking place in the mind, to clearly see what it is that we're placing on our experience. And when we clearly see that, that's when you can let go of it. And then there's this clarity that starts to open up. And in the clarity, there's a real simplicity. There's just being with what's taking place. And when there's that real clarity with what's taking place, the mind feels quiet and attentive. And there's not so much separation between you and the object, between subject and object. You know that experience where you've been moving around for a while and then you realize that your awareness is simply being, and there's not that sense of separation anymore. There's just what is. There's just this. But that comes about through a mind that's quiet and very attentive. It comes about because the mind is not experiencing the present moment through a set of ideas. It's experiencing the present moment as the present moment. The Buddha said, in the seeing, there's only the seeing. In the hearing, there's only the hearing. In the tasting, there's only the tasting. In the smelling, there's only the smelling. You're just there with the experience. You're not adding anything extra to it. And we all have that experience in one moment or another. Right? And then we don't have to try so hard. And we don't have to be so hard on ourselves. So attention, and calm is the key. It's that simple. But we need to develop it and we need to practice it. We need to train the mind. We need to apply the principle again and again, principles again and again. So let's apply them now. Let's have a short sit. See, I've talked for quite a while. So, you're sitting here. Check in with your body. any tensions you're holding on to. Inhabit your body. Bring your attention to your body. Have that sense of the body being upright, attentive, but relaxed. And then put your attention on the breath. Follow it all the way in and all the way out. Being mindful of the moment the inhalation begins, through the entirety of the inhalation to the moment that it ends. Being mindful of the moment the exhalation begins, through its entirety to the moment that it ends. You catch yourself thinking, just note thinking, and come back to the sensations of the breath. the development of calm, letting go of thought, feeling the energetic response in your body, in your mind, of the breath gently moving in and out of your body. Letting the breath dissipate any tensions that are in the body. Feeling that development of calm. Really let that calm penetrate into the depths of your being throughout the entirety of your body. Catching the very moment the inhalation begins through the entirety of the breath cycle to the moment that it ends. The space in between, and then the next breath. Catching the mind when it's wandering and bringing it back. Feeling the breath open up to the entirety of the body. Going right into the bones, into the energetic body. Each breath, feeling energy, sensation, movement. Deeply calming the body. very attentive to the entirety of the experience, focusing on sensation, aware of what the mind is doing, not following anything but breath and sensation. It's the state of mind now. Is it calm? Is it sleepy? Is it attentive? Is it distracted? Note that and come back to sensations and breath. If the mind is sleepy, distracted, just note it and come back to the breath. The mind is attentive and wakeful. Note it, know it, and come back to the breath and sensation. Being aware of the entirety of our experience, not sleeping, not spacing out, but without following thought. It's being aware of the actuality of this present moment. That's all. Catching yourself when the mind is wandering and bringing it back to the breath, bringing it back to sensation. The development of calm and mindfulness, the development of calm and attention. Attention is quality of wakefulness, being very present. Calm is felt deeply in the body. If you're getting sleepy, spacey, can you use the breath to wake yourself up? Use the breath to bring energy in, wakeful, attentive energy. May all beings live in peace. May all beings live in harmony. May all beings live in peace and harmony.